Hurdle County 911. Staff here.
He shot him in his leg. Y'all hear him? Get here. Get him together.
Sorry, what?
Guy trespassing on my property. Hurry up and get here.
Sir, what did you do?
I shot him in his leg.
Okay. And why did you do that?
He's trespassing on my property, calling me by my name. I don't know what he's here for, what he's here to take, what he's here to do, but he shot his leg. He's neutralized until you guys get here.
Sir, are you with him now?
He's right here in front of me.
Okay. Is he awake?
Well, football field on my property.
Sir, is he awake?
Yes. Do you hear him?
Is he breathing?
Yes, he's shot.
Okay.
In his leg.
Stay on line, okay?
Okay, yeah. Come on. Football field.
Seriously?
Yeah, he shot like in his lower thigh. Yeah.
Sir, is there any serious bleeding?
I said yes, bro.
Okay. Is he completely alert?
Is he what?
Is he completely alert?
Did you hear him? Do you not hear this man, bro?
Sir, I'm asking you, is he completely alert?
Yeah, I can't hear you repeating every question that you ask me because he's over here screaming, bro. Like, y'all just get somebody here. And tell them when they pull up to try to hit the siren or something so I can know to open the gate.
Alright, is there more than one wound?
Say what?
Is there more than one wound?
All I see is one individual. I don't know if you got somebody with him. I don't know. We have no way of knowing that. But in order for him to get here, you have to jump over a fence and everything.
I'm going to need you to secure your firearm, sir. Sir.
It's secure.
Sir.
It's secure. I told you it's secure. I'm not putting it down with this trespass right here on my property. I'm not doing it.
Yo, that's a trip, right? Y'all better stop messing with Jonathan. It's your boy, E.B.H. Black, with a quick reaction to your boy Dababy shooting somebody. You know, he already got a record of shooting somebody in the Walmart, and he got off with that. And it looks like he gonna pretty much get off with this too. That's what it appears. And we're gonna talk about that because I hear some things about being self-defense, things like that. So we're gonna clear that up. But I ran across something that was kind of funny right here. Y'all want to hear this? Let's go. Yeah, notice this sign right here. That's on the thumbnail. That sign that said, "We got guns and shovels." That's important, actually. As funny as that may be, that's very important. I'm going to go into that, too.
We have guns and shovels. That's the sign posted outside the mansion of Grammy-nominated rapper Dababy's massive piece of property in Troutman.
You just got to be a fool to test Dababy. You just got to be. You're just asking to die.
We have guns and shovels. That's the sign posted outside the mansion of Grammy-nominated rapper Dababy's massive piece of property in Troutman.
You just got to be a fool to test Dababy. You just got to be. You're just asking to die.
We have guns and
so you got to be a fool to be testing the baby, especially at this point now. Y'all better leave Jonathan alone. So yeah, let's go into it. I'm going to talk about a couple things. But it's your boy, E.B.H. Black. Subscribe to the channel. Like it and share this. And I'm going to talk about some things that's kind of important. You know, I'm all about teachable moments. I mean, because on the surface, it looks like, you know, it's a guy just, you know, a rapper that just shot somebody or whatever. You know, but Dababy is not as dumb as y'all think. It's a reason why he keep getting off. And he's and it's important that we learn how to read the laws and know what we are within our rights to do, because there is a small differences, and that's the difference between you going to jail or the police pulling up and they leaving without taking you. So I'm gonna go over a couple things like that, and it's not gonna be legal advice. It's just my opinion. This is my Magma. This is my opinion. This is my opinion, but I do have over 20 years in the criminal justice system, certified paralegal, worked in, got degrees in criminal justice. So I do have a little bit of perspective, but I think Jonathan is pretty smart. And I think that is something that we all should kind of pay attention to so we can learn how to protect ourselves. Let's see. So subscribe, like to the channel, go to the other E.B.H. Black shows, talk about a few different things. So, basically, let's talk about what happened. Oh, yeah, the audio. Why is the another question I saw was, why is the audio sped up like that? And the audio is sped up like that because according to North Carolina law, they do that kind of to protect the person who's calling in. So basically what happened was the baby was at the crib chilling, North Carolina, and somebody jumped his fence. And he said the person called his name, and that's important because that means the person knew who he was. You know what I'm saying? So the dude was intentionally there. But if the baby didn't know who he was, now he on alert. Excuse me. So he shot him, and then he held him at gunpoint until the police came. And so a lot of things that you're hearing is like, was that self-defense? And North Carolina is a stand your ground state. And I know a lot of people came into knowing what the stand your ground was with the Trayvon Martin case. And this is a slightly different thing. This is not a stand your ground type situation. And you want to learn the difference between the two because that's the difference between you going to jail or being sued or you just walking away with immunity. So let's talk about self-defense, the stand your ground versus what the baby situation is what's called the Castle Doctrine. Some people might have heard of this. It's kind of like, you are the king of your castle. Oh, it's 2022. It's the king or the queen of your castle. And if somebody comes into that, then you have certain privileges in order to keep yourself safe. So self-defense is more like a normal situation. Like if the baby, when he got into it with his kid's mother, hit him at the bowling alley and they got into a fight and he shot him, then that would be something where a self-defense would come into play. But that wasn't nothing like this. This is more like him being at home, his castle. And then we're going to go look up what the Castle Doctrine is with a simple Google search. Let me share it. I'm going to give y'all some games today. Something to take away. Because this is good. Teach your kids this. Also learn this for yourself. Learn this for yourself. So I went to Google and I looked up, stand your ground Castle Doctrine online. And when you're doing Google search, Google is good depending on the source that you use. So I went to a website that was a law field. That was in the law field. Hold on. I'm over here geeking. Here we go. Just want to show y'all where I went to. It was the Kirk. Here we go. This is the Kirk. Howell, Cutler, and Thomas. It's a law firm. So the initial question was, can you stand your ground in North Carolina? And I'm going to just read this. And this is not going to be that long, but this is going to be worth your time. This will be worth your time because it could be the difference between you going to jail or not. This is from the Kirk Law, and it says, can you stand your ground in North Carolina? Stand your ground laws have been taking the spotlight in the news lately, in due part to Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman trial in Florida. As a result, some Carolina residents have begun to question the status of North Carolina's stand your ground law. And it's important that every state isn't stand your ground. And if you do live in the stand your ground state, learn what your specific laws are, because it's different from state to state. So you want to know these things. So what's the rule on stand your ground in North Carolina? As of December 1st, 2011, citizens of North Carolina had a legal right to defend themselves with deadly force in their homes, vehicles, and workplace without the duty to retreat. Stand your ground laws exist in at least 25 states in addition to Florida and North Carolina. And see, one thing that's a little bit different from state to state is it extends from the home to the vehicles and the workplace. And the whole stand your ground thing is about your duty to retreat. But let me keep going. These laws, sometimes called make my day laws or shoot first, ask questions later laws, cover the extent to which a person can legally go to defend himself or others in the exceptions that apply. North Carolina stand your ground law is addressed in, these are the sections, and are summarized below. A person is justified to use deadly force and does not have to have a duty to retreat in any place he or she has the lawful right to be if either of the following applies. 1, that means either one of these can apply. It doesn't have to be both. You reasonably believe that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another. And you might say, this is kind of vague. And laws are made kind of vague, so it's left open to interpretation, so that way you can have a case-by-case basis. You don't have to necessarily, everything is not cookie cutter. And what this is essentially saying is, like, you reasonably believe that the force that you used was to prevent from you dying or someone else dying. And where it comes to the question there is, can you shoot somebody when they don't have a weapon? And so that's why this is open for interpretation. Like, is it reasonable? Would a reasonable, prudent person, is a reasonable, like an average person, the 68.2, the common person, would that person believe that their life was in imminent death or great bodily harm? So that's open to determine interpretation. Number 2, you are in your home, vehicle, or workplace, and that the person against whom the defensive force was used was an unlawful intruder or was attempting to forcibly and unlawfully enter one of the above, meaning the home, vehicle, or the workplace. The second scenario is sometimes referred to as the Castle Doctrine, and this is where there's a split here. Recognize that one's home is one's castle and that you should be able to legally defend yourself and your family when an intruder or trespasser poses a threat. There are exceptions to use deadly force in self-defense against law enforcement officers and bondsmen. Yeah, you have to identify yourself and such. You may ask, what's the difference between stand your ground and general self-defense? You can read the rest of this, and it gets you, you can go to the law, this law website, and it'll tell you. Maybe I'll read it. Before the enactment of the stand your ground statutes, and in states that don't currently have those laws, a person generally has a duty to retreat before being justified in using deadly force against an attacker. Without such statute, if you cannot avoid confrontation or get away, you must and you will risk criminal prosecution for assault or, depending on the outcome, manslaughter or murder. Yeah, okay. So basically, that's what I was saying earlier about you got to meet. It's almost like you have to meet force with force. That's what it's essentially saying. So the question would be, did did Dababy meet force with force, but he's fallen under the Castle Doctrine, meaning someone was in his home. And then someone might say, you know, he wasn't actually inside of his house, right? He wasn't inside his house. But I'll get to that. I will get to that. Let me. So yeah, you
just got to be a fool to test the baby. You just got to be. You're just asking to die.
Yeah, so he's on it. He's on it right now. So far so good. And so we were talking about him shooting the person not in his house, right? It's easier if someone was in your house because, you know, that you can have that threat, that fear that someone could come and hurt you. So if you was to shoot and kill someone in your house, it's a little simpler. It's a little simpler to kind of understand that. But now, what if someone's in your yard, or like in this case where they hopped over some fences to get to where he was? And so what they have is what's called a curtilage. And that's a legal term. And then I'm gonna do a Google search of that. So we can look up what that means. Bear with me. Got some game for you. Curtilage. That includes the area immediately surrounding a dwelling, and it counts as part of the home for many legal purposes, including searches and many self-defense laws. Okay. And so you can do a general Google search, and it's come from law, the Cornell EDU, which is pretty reputable. And then I went to you want to go to Black's Law Dictionary. That's like the Bible, the lawyer's Bible. I didn't write it. It's E.B.H. Black, but it's not the E.B.H. Black law. But I spend many hours in this thing. They tell you what it is, and I'll go over it like kind of quickly. The enclosed space of ground and building immediately surrounding a dwelling, house, and its most comprehensive and proper legal signification. It includes all of the space of ground and buildings therein, which is usually enclosed within the general fence immediately surrounding a principal message and outbuildings. The yard closely adjoining to the dwelling, house, but it may be large enough for cattle to, do their thing, whatever. So it's basically saying you got to read these things because it's important that you know. I know it's kind of boring, but it's important that you know that all these things have reasons. There's reasons for it. And so what that's saying is, how about if someone's in your yard? Okay, and in the baby's case, we know that he had like a big old wall outside, and he had a fence. So that means someone hopped those and came up to him, and he saw him. He probably was on his camera or something like that. And then they had an encounter outside. So now you may ask yourself, okay, but what if in the situation it's like a Jehovah's Witness or something like that? Well, they shouldn't be all in your yard like that. And then that's why it's important that you meet force with force when you're not inside the house, which was key for the baby, right? Because he didn't kill him. He shot him in the leg. He was smart. You just
got to be a fool to test the baby. You just got to be. You're just asking to die.
So this is important. The Castle Doctrine is not self-defense. The Castle Doctrine is different from self-defense because in self-defense, you can get off criminally, but you can get sued civilly. And if you get sued in civil court, the burden is different. You may be found guilty. Let's look at OJ, right? He was found not guilty criminally, but he was found guilty in the civil. But in the Castle Doctrine, being that it's not like a self-defense or what they call it, a affirmable defense, the Castle Doctrine is immunity. It gives you immunity from prosecution, criminal prosecution, and also a civil suit. So you ask yourself, well, baby didn't go to jail, they didn't book him, or they didn't take him downtown and release him, or none of that, because he fell under the Castle Doctrine, right? So that was good for the baby. Smart. So all these rappers ain't as clueless as you may think, and that's why it's important that you do know your laws. That's why it's very important. And you got to take the time to read it. I know it's boring, but you got to take time to understand it. So what did the baby do right? I think he did a few things right. The first thing was preventative measures. He put up trespassing signs. As you know, funny as it is how he worded it, those are signs for you not to trespass. So that means he's taking precautions to let you know, hey, do not come on this property unless I know that you're coming, right? So I give him a thumbs up for that for sure. Like, as something as small as that means a lot.
You just got to be a fool to test the baby. You just got to be. You're just asking to die.
And so another thing was his calm demeanor, right? That was good. He always kept his calm demeanor. He wasn't frantic. He didn't let the situation get too out of hand. Even when the 911 caller seemingly was asking him questions that was irritating to him. The 911 caller has a job. They have to ask a certain set of questions. They have to try to advise him to do certain things. You're in there. The baby is there in the moment. He shot a dude and he just laying there. You can hear the dude screaming in the background. You know, so, but he did keep his demeanor. So a lot of times when we are having these confrontations, it's good that we take the emotion out of it and try to remain calm and use your head and think logically. So that way the situation do not get out of control. His calm demeanor definitely helped him in that situation. And another thing that I believe he did really, really well was he used the force that was necessary. You listen to his music, he could have just, did it for the clout or whatever. He could have just did it, but he used the force necessary because I believe, and this is my opinion, that he understood the law. Or he could have had a compassionate heart. It could be a little bit of both, you know what I'm saying? But he knew that, hey, I don't have to do this to this man. I just want to stop him from being on my property, you know what I'm saying? And not make this situation any bigger than it has to be. So that was very good that he used the force that was necessary. Let me see. Another thing I think the baby did right. What was it? Let me see. Oh yeah, he told the 911 he wasn't welcome. He told the 911 that the guy wasn't welcome there. Yeah, it was some things that he said during that phone call while he was keeping his demeanor very, very calm. Is very key legal terms as well. He used words like trespassing. He let him know, hey, I don't know what he come to take, what he come to do, or what he here for. Letting you know, like, hey, this is a situation that this is some random person that passed my signs, jumped my fences, and I don't call him my name by my name. I don't know what's going on. So I have someone trespassing. I don't know what he doing here or anything of that. And after he shot him, he told him, hey, What I did was I neutralized him. Another key term, I neutralized him. So that also shows you his intent. His intent wasn't to kill him. His intent was to just stop him until the police come. Police, hurry up and get here, man. Stop asking me all these questions. Police, just get here, man. So, hey, I think Dababy in this situation was all the way on top of game. And hey,
You just got to be a fool to test Dababy. You just got to be. You're just asking to die.
so hey, you better thank your blessings, brother, that it wasn't a life-threatening injury. And for anybody else that's trying Dababy, y'all better be careful. You better be careful. But yeah, like, subscribe to the channel. More content coming out. Season 2 is coming up very, 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 very soon. So look out for that. Black out.